going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Appreciate everybody being in here, man. Thank you guys again. We got a real good show for you guys today. Got a lot to talk about. First off, is Jaylen Warren going to be the guy at running back? Is that who the Steelers are going to put all their faith in this season? Next up, Art Rooney II. The players basically, I mean, they basically just took a dump on him. They do not like what Art Rooney, or basically the staff, what's going on at the complex. We'll go over the NFLPA report card, those surveys. We'll go over that and what it says about Mr. Rooney. Next up is Mason McCormick, the future at left guard. Do the Steelers want him to be the future, or is there going to be some competition brought in either with free agency or the draft? And then the salary cap is been officially announced at $279.2 million. That's even a little bit more room than what was first reported the other day. We'll break down how the Steelers can get to up to close to $92 million in cap space, man, with doing just moves that we all know they need to make to be able to get there and then spend that money, man. So make sure you guys stick around for that. I appreciate it. Again, how you can find Steelers Almighty, obviously we are on YouTube, youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Anywhere that you find social media, you can find Steelers Almighty. And everywhere that you get a podcast, if you like the audio version, make sure you sign up and subscribe to Steelers Almighty. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Continue to get in the comments section as always and hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content comes out. Memberships are also available. So we have 5 separate levels for you guys to be able to get in on membership content. So again, if you want to help support the channel in that way, make sure you sign up. Let's get into this, people. So first things first, Jaylen Warren. Is Jaylen Warren the guy? Look, I think we all know, or we can all assume that Najee Harris is not coming back. I think we've covered that. Everybody's covered that. It's a pretty good assumption Najee Harris won't be back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Didn't want to pick up his 5th-year option. So since they didn't, it's time to move on with another avenue. Now, here's the one thing to keep in mind is that Jaylen Warren, technically, he's a free agent. Now, it's restricted, and it's going to depend on what restriction tag that the Steelers place on him. But, yeah, he's a restricted free agent. Now, basically what that means is that I think there's 3 different tags. Matter of fact, I'm positive. There's one where you don't get any draft picks. Then there's a 2nd-round tender and then a 1st-round tender. So all 3 of those options the Steelers can place on a restricted free agent. I would guess they probably don't put a draft pick free agent on it because it's the least amount of money that the Steelers would have to pay and somebody could pay him. So I would bet that's kind of what it is. But for the most part, the Steelers are going to want to bring him back because teams, unless somebody just knocks his socks off, I don't think that teams are going to be out there throwing huge dollars at Jaylen Warren because they know the Steelers can match it. So I would suspect that they bring him back in that case. So let's just assume that the Steelers bring him back. Now, let's go over some of the numbers. The numbers look pretty good for Jaylen Warren, as far as he's got 1,674, career rushing yards. Pretty good in 3 seasons. He's averaging 4.48 yards a carry. I mean, that's pretty good. 6 touchdowns. It's not bad for the amount of touches that he gets as far as carries. He's got another 127 catches, 894 yards. I mean, he can do some things. Looking at those numbers, that tells you that he can be an every down running back. Now, here's where the issue comes in, is that his effectiveness, and we've seen it as the Steeler, is that it starts to plummet some once he gets the carries and touches above 17. You start getting higher numbers. Number one, injuries come into play. He's not the biggest guy. Number 2, the effectiveness for Jaylen Warren is that he's always been part of a 1-2 punch. and he's been the 2 of that punch. Yeah, there's been several games where he's gotten more carries, more touches overall than Najee Harris. Absolutely, that's been the case. But for the most part, he's been the number 2 of that 1-2 punch, almost like a change of pace type of a guy. Has he been effective? Absolutely. But again, his touches have been between 12 and 17. Is that his most effective plays? I kind of think that it is, people. Um, Now, do you want him to be a guy that gets 25 touches a game? You know, I'm not sure. And when I mean 25 touches, 25 carries. It might be upwards of 32 touches a game when you consider anything out of the backfield. Who knows? Is that too much? Do you still want him to be the second guy, or want him to be the first guy, but still kind of limit the amount of touches he has per game so that he can stay fresh as long as possible? I just think that's kind of the thing, because where do the Steelers go in the draft? I think I've said it on several occasions. It would be GM and organization franchise malpractice if the Steelers don't take a running back in this draft. I don't care if they sign somebody in free agency or not. They have to take a running back in this draft. There's too many good ones. There's been several years where, you're thinking, well, we got to reach for a running back. We might need a running back. We got to take somebody. Okay, great. But now it's an abundance. So, yes, the Steelers absolutely need to draft a guy. And who do they do? Or, what kind of running back do you get? I mean, in the first round, I think Ashton Jeanty is the guy. If the Steelers were going to go out and draft a guy in the first round, it would be Ashton Jeanty. I don't necessarily think they should do that in the first round. Not necessarily. I don't think they should do that. But crazier things have happened in the draft. If the positions that they want and need early, if there's a big run on those, maybe you do take the running back. Just something to keep in mind. Second round, there's a couple of guys. Omarion Hampton, there's Kaleb Johnson. Both of those guys. Look, I'm on record saying I think Hampton's the best back in the draft. Nobody else agrees with me. That's fine. I don't need anybody else to agree with me. I like what he brings to the table. I'll be interested to see what he runs, but yes, I like Hampton a lot. I definitely look, I was down on Kaleb Johnson early out of Iowa, but I like him. And he's going to be a second, maybe an early third round guy. Some people have soured on him as of late. I've been the exact opposite. I was down on him early. I kind of like him more now that I've studied a little bit more on him. I like Kaleb Johnson out of Iowa. In the third round, look, it's the tandem out of Ohio State. Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Both of those guys. If the Steelers were to go in the third round, I think they'd be available. A lot of people like Henderson, maybe the late second round. Who knows? But I like either one of them. Again, Judkins, I need to see what he's going to run. I'd like to see what he's going to run. But I like both of those guys. And then the fourth round, this is the guy I think if we could get him in the fourth round, this is some of the best value pick I think that's out there in the entire draft is Devin Neal. If the Steelers could get Devin Neal in the fourth round, I would love it. Does a little bit of everything. But again, it's another guy. I want to see him run. He's not the breakaway guy, but he's got some speed. He's definitely got power. He's got speed. He's got vision. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Small hands, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield, tracks it well. So I like Devin Neal. Now, here's the thing. We're losing Najee Harris. So what style of back do you want? Look, people think of because Jaylen Warren is smaller that he's some speedster. He's not. He's more of a bowling ball type. Got some speed, but he's not just this speed back. Well, people wondered why Najee Harris, he's not fat. Well, Najee ran a 4.66 at the combine. So I don't know why people thought that he was going to be fast. He was in the best shape of his life at the combine. The only thing he's done since then is taken a pounding for 4 years in the National Football League. So you're not going to be as fast and as spry. And he isn't. But I think the Steelers got to go with some speed. Not little guys. I'm just saying guys that have breakaway speed. Somebody that if they hit a hole going downhill, they're taking it the distance. That wasn't Najee Harris. That wasn't his game. That's not Jaylen Warren either. That's not his game. I think the Steelers need that. They need a guy that, you know what, you give me a little bit of daylight, I bust through that hole and I am gone, and there's nobody that can catch me. We need some of that. But I also don't think we need that in a guy that weighs 195 pounds. I'm out on that too. So I don't want a guy that's, like I said, 195 pounds, 6 foot 195, that, yeah, he's a speed demon, but he's going to be, constantly in the injury room every 3 weeks because he's banged up here, banged up there. We need somebody in that draft. There's several of these guys, man. And again, later on, other names. But as far as Jaylen Warren is concerned, that's what I'm looking at. Is like, I think he works better in a tandem. He's been in a tandem. And I don't think that we need to do anything different than that. Give him his opportunity to be the man, though. Give him that opportunity. And if he can do it, great. But we're also drafting a guy that we're going to put a ton of pressure. Competition breeds a lot of things in this world, and especially in the National Football League. Competition is a good thing. It's a good thing. And that's what the Steelers need to incorporate at the running back position. That's not a knock on anybody. That's not a slap in the face to anybody. That's just saying the organization is trying to get as good as it possibly can on the offensive side of the football, get as many weapons as it can, and building and creating competition at the running back position is one way to be able to do that. We got to do that in this draft. So let's get to the first poll question then. What can we do? If Jaylen Warren ends up having to carry, let's get back to the poll question. So if Jaylen Warren ends up having to carry the running back room in 2025 in Arthur Smith's offense, do you think he'll be able to equal what Najee Harris has done? A, yes one, or B, no one? It's a good question. It's a real good question, because while Najee wasn't the flashiest guy and the most explosive guy, Najee was still productive. I mean, look, 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards is definitely not what it used to be. I'm the first person to tell you that. You average that over a 17-game schedule, that's not that much. It just isn't. But he was there every game, and there's something to be said for that. He was there, and he was productive, as productive as he could be. So, and he didn't fumble the football. So that's something to be said about a running back. Can Jaylen Warren be that guy with an uptick of his carries? I'll be interested to see what you guys have to say about that. Let's move on, people. So Art Rooney II basically fails the NFLPA report. They started doing this a few years back where the players commented on and took a survey on several different aspects, of what was going on within the organization. They comment, they give a survey, they're asked questions, they fill it out. That report is out now. And I'm sorry to tell you, but Art Rooney II did not do well in that survey. When it came to the owner, Art Rooney II got a D. I mean, now you can say whatever you want about this, and basically what that comes down to is everything that's encompassed in this grade, because when you're talking about it, is what does it encompass when the Pittsburgh Steelers, like treatment of families? Well, that's a survey question that gets asked, but when you ask that question, who is that on? Well, it's on the owner. The owner has to put things in place. You may say somebody else. Well, the owner is ultimately in charge of this franchise, people. He's the ultimate voice. Food and dining, nutrition. The locker room is terrible. I got into it the other day about somebody saying that the locker room was bad. I was like, come on, man, you're making stuff up. No, they weren't making stuff up. The Steelers locker room, it was bad last year, and it's bad again this year. So it's just, those are things that an owner can fix. That's the thing. That's something that an owner can fix. The training room, not great. Weight room, not great. You know, those are just avenues and things that you look at when you talk about the Steelers that can be upgraded. Now, the team travel is good, and the thing that is going to drive a lot of Steeler fans crazy about this report, Mike Tomlin got an A. Yes, you heard me correct. From the players, Mike Tomlin got an A. Now, here's the difference. If you're a player, Mike Tomlin has a long leash. Mike Tomlin lets you get away with a lot. I mean, and we've seen it over the years with several different guys. So, yeah, him letting you get away with certain stuff, act a certain way. Yes, never calling you out in the media. Yes. So, yeah, as a player, I'm going to like that. But I have a coach that holds me accountable. When I do something stupid, I act immature. He holds me accountable, whether he does it in-house or in the media. Hold you accountable. Because, see, in-house, you can kind of get away with certain stuff. When they do it in the media and then you get blasted all week long for knucklehead play, and that's all you hear, that's something different. Players don't necessarily like that. So Tomlin doesn't do that. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But my thing with Art Rooney II is, does he care? That's one of my questions, is that, does the man even care about the survey? Because it has been bad. It was bad last year. No changes. No changes. So does he even care? Does the report even matter to him? And now that I say that doesn't matter to him, should it matter to us that the players don't like the owner or some of the practices at the owner? Now, look, I'm the first person to tell anybody a National Football League job, playing in the National Football League, should I say, is not the same as a regular job. It's just not, okay? But it does have employees. And if you're a player, you are an employee. So how many of us go to our job every day and don't necessarily like the owner or our manager, or some of the things that go on? They don't like the bathroom or the break room. They don't like those things at their office, but they still go and they still perform. So that's some of the stuff that, does it really mean that much in the grand scheme of things? Or are you somebody that looks at it like, well, what about free agents coming in? Do free agents come in and say, man, this locker room sucks. I don't want to be a part of this. I thought you all were the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's going on here? Is that something to take into account? Clearly, Art Rooney II hasn't thought that, because, again, it's not the first year that this has been bad, and no changes. It acts like it doesn't even matter. I kind of believe that it matters a little bit. Look, I understand that the owner, he's not necessarily in the day-to-day stuff, meeting with players, down in the field, in business, of day-to-day operations as far as what we see. But it's not too difficult to put a cone of paint in a locker room. You know what I'm saying? It's not too difficult to get some new stalls in the bathroom. That's not a difficult thing to do. It's not too difficult to look. These are billion-dollar franchises. You want to remodel the locker room, they could have that done in a month. If they really wanted to do it. So that's what I'm talking about. Certain things and certain aspects, those things can be done if you wanted to do it. And clearly, that's not something that he cares about doing. And I think maybe he should a little bit. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's the big a deal as maybe the media is trying to make this out to be. Yes, he ended up getting a D. But have you ever heard anybody, even behind the scenes, players bad mouthing the owner, other than this report? No. Anonymous sources. Players can be part of anonymous sources too. You hear them bad mouthing the owner? Well, no. But they come out with this and say, well, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why Art Rooney doesn't take it serious, because he doesn't know who's saying it. Maybe if somebody came up to him and say, "Hey, man, you gotta renovate the locker room. You have to. You know, we got to get better food in here. The food is terrible. The lunch area, all the food. We got to do better. We got to do better here." And maybe nobody's doing that. Who knows? But in the grand scheme of things, is it really that big of a deal? I don't know. I think a little bit of it is, and it never hurts. I know one thing. You've never heard anybody say, "Man, we've got this awesome locker room. I couldn't even focus and go play." You've never heard anybody say that. You haven't heard that before. Man, it is so nice in this locker room that I just can't play well. Man, I just don't know what to do. We got so many amenities and so many good things in the complex that I just can't focus. I just can't play well. So I'm not saying they got to do everything. I'm not saying they got to spend $1 trillion out there doing it. But like I said, little coat of paint here or there, some new stalls, fix the bathroom, fix the locker room. You can do that stuff, Mr. Rooney. You can just do it. It's not that big. Again, it is not that big a deal. You could do it in a easy, a quick amount of time. Something simple. Something simple. So I get why he doesn't, because he doesn't take it seriously, and he doesn't have to take it seriously. But sometimes you just do things just because. And I think this is one of those things, man. Let's get to the poll. As a fan from the outside looking in, what grade would you give the Steelers staff this past season? Everyone not in pads. So everyone not playing. Would you give them an A, B, C, D, or F? Everybody that's not in pads. So I kind of know where this one's going, but I'll be interested to see what you guys have to say about it, man. So let's get to halftime here. So, look, again, as always, man, we appreciate all the support that you guys have given us with our lives. We changed our schedule in the off season. You guys have still shown up. You're in all of our lives from just the nightly lives to the Thursday morning lives to the town halls that just pop up here and there. You guys are there. The big show on Tuesdays, you guys show up. So I appreciate all of that. You guys show up in the comments, whether you agree or disagree. You tell me. I respect it. I love it. Thank you for the engagement, man. So, again, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure that you do, and definitely hit the notification bell. Again, memberships are available. The content out there for members only, you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it, man. We got a lot of stuff out there, including all 22 game videos. So make sure you guys show up to watch that and to tune in. 5 different levels that you guys can sign up for if you want to help support the channel in that way. We really do appreciate it. We're coming up on our 1 year. We started April 4th of 2024. So we haven't quite hit the 1 year mark. We're coming up on it closely, and I'm excited about it. We're not going to have an anniversary show or anything like that, but we'll do something. I'll talk about it. We'll bring it up, but I appreciate your all support, man. So let's get back to it. So Mason McCormick. Is Mason McCormick going to be the answer at left guard? Here's my thoughts on that. I like McCormick. First off, he started 14 games in 2024. And, I do all 22 breakdown every week of the offensive line. And McCormick, he's got an incredible motor. He's got an incredible motor. He's one of those guys that runs downfield on run plays. He's helping line or running backs up all the time. He's making sure he's the pile cleaner. If there's a push that needs to be had late in a run where a running back's struggling against several defenders, he's coming and knocking them forward. He's that guy. Ton of energy. He's a guy that you always want on your football team. Maybe goes a little bit overboard from time to time. He's a pest, but he's a good football player. His technique, all over the place. All over the place. Part of the reason for that, though, is that Mason McCormick wasn't supposed to be playing football this year for the Steelers. Okay? He was supposed to be a backup. But when James Daniels got hurt, he was forced into action. Look, Spencer Anderson just can't. He's not NFL caliber, starter caliber. He's just not. So Mason McCormick was forced into play. And for the most part, he played pretty well. Now, he hit a rookie wall at the end of the season, ended up breaking his hand too and missed the last 2 games, but played pretty well. Now, again, the effort was there. That's the thing. His technique, not so much. I mean, we saw a couple of plays where he's booty blocking guys to try to keep him out of there. He's not great with double teams as of yet, because I suspect him coming from the FCS level, they didn't have him double team a lot of guys. It was just take this guy, get him out of the way, So he's learning. But that was his job. It was supposed to be his job this year. 4th round pick, jumping up several levels of football. We want you to come in and just learn, just watch, find out how to be a pro. Instead, he had to learn how to be a pro in the middle of action. So that changes. Things are different when you're expected to just watch, then now you're starting. But give him all the credit because he played well for the most part for a rookie that was supposed to be starting. I'm not saying he was spectacular. No, his PFF grade was 54. Now, you know how I feel about PFF. Pro Football Focus is fine. It's a tool. And I say this all the time. Use your eyes and use your own football knowledge to tell you what you see. Pro Football Focus is a great tool, but don't rely on that to teach you football. Don't rely on that for every single thing. It's just a tool. That's all that it is. But he was 54. I like him. The one thing that you can't teach McCormick, you can't teach somebody to have that kind of motor. You can't teach somebody to have that kind of energy, enthusiasm, that nastiness. You can't teach that. Him and Zach Frazier have that nastiness. You see it, at the end of plays, guys constantly pushing and knocking their hands down. Well, why do you think they're doing that? They're being a pest, letting guys know, hey, the play's over, but I'm still right here. I'm still pushing on you. I'm still nagging you. Defenders don't like that. Takes a lot more energy to play defense than it does offense. It just does. And when you got a guy not only pushing you during the play, now after the play, I got to worry about you pushing on me, nagging on me, hitting me in the side, the kidney, punching, give me a little liver punch. That's all good stuff for Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I love it. Right? Sometimes hit them right after the play, right after the whistle. They're not calling that. If you do it immediately after, nothing stupid like we saw from Broderick. But yeah, I like those guys. He's got nastiness. And would you trust him? Do you want him to be the guy? Can he be the guy? So that's all I'm saying. Trust what you're seeing as far as him. Don't necessarily look at PFF, man. Let's get to the poll question. Second. Boom. Should the Steelers be doing everything possible to make sure Mason McCormick isn't starting in 2025? So let me repeat that so everybody understands. Should the Steelers be doing everything possible to make sure Mason McCormick is not starting in 2025? So the answer A, draft a guard. B, re-sign James Daniels. C, sign a free agent. Or D, McCormick is fine. Do you trust McCormick? You know me, I've been heavy into getting a free agent guard. Not necessarily to replace McCormick, but to add competition. I talked about competition earlier in the running back position. I think guard is another one. Now, my heart broke a little bit today, I will say, because I was like, the Steelers, throw the bag at Trey Smith. Just throw the bag at him. And the Kansas City Chiefs, damn it, they franchised him. They franchised him. Now, that doesn't mean the Steelers can't trade for him, but what you would have to give up to get Trey Smith in a trade from a franchise? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, and basically what the Chiefs are saying is they're trying to kick the can down a road. They can franchise him a year. Travis Kelce is going to come back, probably going to retire after next year. Then they can pay Trey Smith, yada, yada, yada. Just something to make me sick and just get in the way of my plan, damn it. But whatever. But do you trust McCormick? That's the main thing. I do, but I want competition there. I want competition everywhere, but I want competition there. Let's move on. So NFL salary cap, it came out what the reported was going to be last week, and we broke everything down. We're going to do a little bit of that today, but they came out today and said exactly what it's going to be: $279.2 million. Now, as of right now, the Steelers have about almost $57 million in cap space. Almost $57 million. Which is a ton. They're eighth. They got the eighth most in the league. Now, first of all, why does it continue to go up? Because of more money. Teams are making more money. I shouldn't say teams. The league is making more money. NFL contracts. That's the way this thing goes. The league makes more money. They're able to pay out more money to the teams. And then the salary cap keeps going up. One of the things is that you have to spend 89, and it's a percentage, but 89% of what the salary cap is every year. And if the teams don't do it, then they have to spread that difference, that money out to all the players that are under contract. So every team is going to spend that money because who wants to pay the difference? They don't want to do that. So they might as well pay people to come in, and actually do the job. Now it's about finding the right pieces. Now, here's the kicker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, people. How they can get up to like I told y'all earlier, it's almost $93 million. We'll call it $92 million. They can do it. The Steelers, and I know you're like, huh? Yes. The first thing, we talked about it last week. We'll break it all down again. Extend TJ Watt. You know how much money you're going to create by extending him? Okay, there's that. You cut Cole Holcomb. I'm sorry, it's a sad story, but you got to get rid of Cole Holcomb. You got to get rid of Larry Ogunjobi. You save $6 million on Cole Holcomb. You save $7 million on Larry Ogunjobi. You get rid of Cordell Patterson, 2.8. You get rid of Dean Lowry at 2.5. You do that, all those 5 things, and you're at $92 million. Now, there's some other moves that are out there that maybe everybody's not willing to have a comfortable conversation about. Because if you trade Minkah Fitzpatrick after June 1st, that's another $13 million. Just keep that in mind. Now, do you have anybody to replace Minkah Fitzpatrick? The answer is probably no. But at $18 million a year, something's got to give. Something has got to give. At least I would hope so. At least I would hope so. But without doing anything with Minkah, we can get to $92 million. So what do you do with it? Free agents, free agency, trades. Obviously, you got to keep some for the draft. But free agency's got to be big for Pittsburgh this year, man. It's just got to be big. And it doesn't have to be you spend everything on a quarterback. You're going to spend some. Go get a wide receiver. Go get a corner. Go get a D lineman. Go spend the money. It's time. It's just time for the Steelers to get out of the 1980s, 70s, and 80s ways of doing things. And it's time to get with the times and spend money. All the free agent money doesn't have to be on in-house guys. It doesn't have to be, man. It's okay to go outside of the Steelers to go get good football players. It's okay to do that, And so for so long, we just haven't. Not with big name guys. We've done it from time to time with guys with lesser names. But hell, Patrick Queen signed the biggest free agent contract outside of the Steelers in the history of the franchise last year. Think about that. Patrick Queen. So it's okay to go out and get some other guys and bring them in. Go find a top-notch guy. Throw money at them and see if they take it. Who the hell knows? Anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. But I know this, at $92 million, the Steelers should have an upgraded roster. They should. Doesn't mean that they will, but they should, if they play this thing right, have an upgraded roster over 2026 because that's where it's at. That is exactly where it's at. Go spend the money, man. Go spend that money. Do it smart, but go spend the money. It's time to do it. It's time to upgrade. And if it doesn't work, then damn it, it doesn't work. Go try again. But that doesn't mean you stop trying because that's today's football, people. Today's football, free agency is involved, and it doesn't just mean your own free agents. Because the difference is the Steelers used to hit on draft picks. Well, when you hit on your draft picks and you can re-sign those guys, makes sense. But has the Steelers been doing that? That's the difference. You've got to continue to do that. Then you can sign your own guys. If you keep taking Artie Burns and Baby Hands Pickett, guys like that in the first round, Terrell Edmonds, you're not hitting on those guys. So you're not able to re-sign those second contracts to in-house free agents. Just something to think about, man. Just something to think about. So, look, as far as the Steelers are concerned, man, we've got a ways to go here. We've got a ways to go. I'm super excited about free agency, but more important, I'm interested in this running back room. I know all the talk is basically everywhere else. Quarterback, wide receiver, D-line, corner, and the Steelers do have a lot of needs. They just do. But I'm really interested in this running back situation. Jaylen Warren, I think he's a better tandem. Do the Steelers take a running back early? That's the question. And I think it all comes down to free agency. If they can land the home run guy that they want in D-line and in wide receiver or corner, do they take a running back? Like if Jeanty is there at 21, do the Steelers say, you know what, we're jumping? Do you do that? If Hampton is there in round 2 or Kaleb Johnson, do you say, nah, we're jumping? So it'd be very interesting, and I'm excited about it. We're going to keep talking about it because I think all of it is fascinating. I think it's good for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be in this situation, to see what our front office / Mike Tomlin, what everybody is going to do now that, you know what, we got a boatload of money to spend. We got a boatload of holes to fill. How do we do it? This is your opportunity. Nobody can say that, because the talk has been, well, Kevin Colbert, he did this, he did that. Okay, fine. Nobody can deny that because he did. But now it's your time. You got $92 million or the potential to have $92 million at your disposal. What are you going to do with it, people? That's what we all want to know. Appreciate you all being in here. That's all I got for you today, my friends. So, again, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to hit that notification bell, and always get in that comment section. Again, memberships are open, 5 several levels for you guys to get involved. We appreciate you. We love you. And aloha.